Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Career Foundry event this evening. I'm joined by Senior Career Specialist Susan Clark again. You may have recognized Susan as part of the Career Foundry team. She did some fantastic webinars last year. And we're back again. And tonight is all about how to network in tech in 2023. So we want to make this as super interactive as possible. I know that a lot of people are joining us tonight. So just drop your name, where you're joining from, and also why you're interested in a career change into tech on the right-hand side. We want to see who's joining. We usually get a super international crowd. Before we kick off though, and whilst people are joining, let me just very, very briefly introduce CareerFoundry. So CareerFoundry is the online school for your career change into tech. We guide you from complete beginner to job-ready professional in one of our main programs and help you land your first job in the field. And we're not any old school. Our programs are so flexible that you don't even need to quit your job. You get regular one-to-one mentorship from not one, but two industry experts. That's a mentor and a tutor. And if you don't land a job within 180 days of graduation, we refund your tuition. So that's our job guarantee. We've had lots of people through our programs, but if you'd like to find out more, do book a call with one of our program advisors if you've got any specific questions about the curriculum, jobs in your locality, or anything about the programs that we offer. So that's all from me. I don't really want to steal Susan's thunder. I think this is going to be a super exciting event this evening. We're going to be doing a live Q&A at the end. So if you do have any questions, do drop them in the public chat and I will reappear and we will get around to answering all those questions. So Susan, thank you so much for joining us once again. I'm really interested. I think it's going to be a great webinar and yeah, I'll be in the background. So thank you and welcome everybody. Over to you, Susan.
Yeah, thank you so much. Welcome everyone, wherever you are, if it is a good evening or a good morning. Normally I am in Germany. I live in Germany, but I'm actually visiting my family in the US. So hello from Charleston, South Carolina. That's where I'm currently at. And it's morning here for us. I'm really excited that everyone's joining because honestly, networking is super, super, super important in order to get a job. I know a lot of people hate it. I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing it. I, especially when I started out, that was totally not my thing, networking. I didn't want to do it. And so I finally learned how to do it. And I really cannot tell you, most of my jobs have come from networking. So I really want to show you how you can do it, how you can network your way into a job and do it as painlessly as possible, and to do it in a way that's your style and that feels organic to you, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert or an ambivert. So I'm really happy that you all are joining. With that, just a little bit about me. As Will said, I'm a senior career specialist here at CareerFoundry. So if you enroll in CareerFoundry or if you're already a student, I am a career specialist. And how our program works is that while you are in the program, once you get 50% of the way through, you are assigned a career specialist that will help you during your job search. We will help with your resume, with writing cover letters, with how to prepare for interviews. And so that's normally my role here at CareerFoundry, is really to help all of our students and graduates make their way through and transition into the job that they want. So that's a little bit kind of about what I do here at CareerFoundry. I love giving webinars as well because I want to make all of this information accessible to as many people as possible. So I just really want to know, as William said, that we really want to make it interactive. So what does networking mean to you? Like, what do you think networking is? If you'll just drop in the chat, for example, like, how do you network? What is networking? Have you ever done networking before? I'd really like to see, because I know for the longest time, I had a really different version of networking. And then when I started meeting and learning from other professionals, I learned networking had a totally different meaning. So I see building relationships, learning info. This is fantastic. Being connected, meeting people within the field, making connections. Great. Boring meet and greet events. Thank you for writing this, because yes, this is what I thought exactly too. Most of you are quite positive, but I thought exactly that. Like I had to go to boring events and sit there. And I thought you just say hi to people, you introduce yourself, and that's it. So yes, let's get into then what networking is. So did you know, thinking about networking, going to events is part of it. It's one way to network. So you can go to events and meet people, but it should not stop there. It really should be about you meeting them, introducing yourself, telling what you do, but following up because you need to get their email address. You need to get their LinkedIn. You need to get their telephone number if they communicate that way. Find out the best way to communicate with them. Follow up with them. Have a coffee with them. Because just meeting someone once isn't building that professional relationship. I saw some of you mentioned that it is about connecting with people. Great as well. But sometimes people's idea of connecting with others is just adding them on LinkedIn. Make sure that you're not just connecting with someone and never reaching out. You have to start a conversation with them. You have to keep it going because networking is not just about meeting people, it really is building a lasting relationship with those people. People often don't understand the importance of networking. So I really want to jump into some of these facts that you may not know about networking. So searches within your network can help you find a job at a faster rate. This is a proven fact. Studies have shown this. So if you're traditionally applying just through online applications, if someone else is doing half-time networking and half-time applying through the traditional method of applying online, typically that person that is doing a mix of both networking and applying, they find jobs simply at a way faster rate. Networking can also produce a higher quality of job offers. So maybe you apply for a junior role at a company, you traditionally apply online, and you get that role. But by doing networking, maybe you tell someone, hey, I saw there's a junior role in your position. I'm really interested in applying. And sometimes that person sees your skills and your value by talking to you early on through networking and says to you, no way, you're way too qualified for this junior role. I would like to bring you in as a mid-level person within the company. So networking can really produce higher offers. So you can go in at a higher level, higher wages as well, because those people actually see the value that you can bring. And it can even be better aligned with what you're looking for when you talk to people and they say, oh, actually, this role that you wanted to apply for, yeah, you could apply, but there's this other role that's going to open up in a month. And I think that's a way better fit for you. Those things you wouldn't know unless you were networking. Also, employees often find higher satisfaction from the jobs they attain from networking, simply because I think it goes into the wages are higher, it fits better, it aligns with their goals. You even learn more about a company by networking. So you see if that company is a good fit for where you want to work and fits better with your lifestyle. These are all proven facts that have come from studies. This is not something that I just made up from my head. This is a really great study that I liked. LinkedIn did a study to see more into this. 70% of people were hired at a company where they had a connection. 70%. So if you're thinking about that, if you have a connection at a company, it's way easier to get in versus just throwing an application into the space of the internet. We say do both, but really when you network, it increases your chances so much. So 70%, everyone. So really take note of the importance of connecting with people so you have connections. I especially say if you have a company that you love in your area and you really want to work there, start making connections in that specific company. So maybe you've heard this saying, I know I even grew up with this saying that it's how you get the job, or how you get a job is about who you know, but whether or not you stay in that job is what you know. And so this is what this saying is that it's really important to know people and be connected, because that can get you into your next opportunity. So really, really, just reinforcing the power and importance of building connections. Um, there are people who naturally know how to do this because their parents are high up in professional fields, and so they learn this. But for example, I come from a very blue collar family. So if you're not from America, this means like people that do more manual labor jobs, that are doing very common jobs. So they don't really have connections to other people. They didn't know the value or understand how to network. And so I didn't have family connections. I had to build my connections myself. So just know you can do this. This is possible to do on your own. But by all means, always ask your friends and family if they know people in the industry that you're trying to go into, so that you can use their networks as well. Um, so as you see, I've been talking a lot about, proven studies, facts. If we've known the importance of networking for career success, and it's been documented, there's been tons of studies, and we've known really for decades, like 10, 20, 30, 40. I even saw a study 50 years ago that was talking about the importance of making connections. Why do we not do more of this? Why is everyone not implementing this into their job search strategy? This is something that I think, me personally, I was really nervous to do because I had no understanding of how to do it. Um, so I kind of wanted, this kind of leads into, because I wanted to know what's preventing you from networking. Why aren't you doing more networking in your life? And you can just drop in the chat, um, because we all have our different reasonings for why we may be nervous or just don't know how to do it, or maybe we feel like it's stupid. I also thought it was stupid for the longest time. Sleazy. Fear. Yep. Social anxiety. Exhausting and overwhelming. Yep. Don't know where to start. LinkedIn charges you money. Ooh, we'll talk about how to use LinkedIn for free and help with that. Don't know how to keep in touch. Great. Find it hard to promote myself without sounding like I'm gloating. I definitely struggled with this because I didn't know how to talk about myself without sounding like I was bragging the whole entire time. Don't know where to go in person, financial time, like financial issues and time consuming. Exactly. Great. So we're kind of seeing a pattern with some of these. So now I really want to break down how you can network, how it can be feasible for you, because honestly, there's lots of options. So I want to introduce options that I think can work with everyone. Um, so I just wanted to address this before we get started. I call it identifying the elephant in the room, because this is something that I've been hearing. Uh, we've been hearing a lot about the tech layoffs. And so I know that a lot of people have been asking me, is this a good time to get in tech? I'm seeing there's lots of layoffs from the big companies. Why should I start networking now? Because it just seems like it's a waste of time. Why am I going to network with people? Because it seems like people are losing their jobs. Is this a concern for you, or are you worried about this? Or maybe you haven't heard about tech layoffs. Maybe this isn't bothering you. But I did want to address this just because I'm hearing this so much right now, especially from current students at CareerFoundry. I saw some interactions here. Yes. And Quentin says, yes, 100% worry. Yes. This is why I know this isn't directly related to networking, but I have heard some people say they don't want to network because of the fact that they just almost feel hopeless. I wanted to tell you, The big layoffs with Facebook, Meta, Alphabet, Google, you hear from, all these different other ones that they're doing massive layoffs. Keep in mind, yes, they do have massive layoffs, but they also are the type of tech companies that overhire. They overhire for their needs because they have the money to do so. But I would say the small percentage of us actually go to those companies. Most of us go to all these other different types of tech companies that need us and need our support. And they are more, how would you say? They're more they're not rash with hiring. They really do it consciously because they don't do layoffs like the big ones do. They're very conscious because since they're smaller companies, they are very conscious about who they hire and if they have long-term budgets for that. And then they even have long-term ideas of what they're hiring that person for. So keep in mind what you see from the big tech companies does not isn't the standard for the whole tech industry. It really is something special to them because often they do overhire. Um, and I also like to explain it in the way of ebbs and flows. So we often hear about ups and downs in the economy. This is kind of a natural thing in tech that you'll have layoffs, but then you'll have hiring again, layoffs, hiring again. And for example, my partner works in tech and his company is on a hiring spree right now. So we're hearing every day about layoffs from the big companies, but my partner's company is on a hiring spree for people in tech. But because it's not one of the major companies, we don't hear about it. So you're having a lot of panic that is not actually, you don't need to worry about it. It's not founded. So I just want to let you guys know, really, just because you hear of this, really, this is not something to panic or feel like the industry is saturated. I see, is the UX sector saturated? No, it is not. Yes, you have a lot of people coming out of online schools that are being trained in UX, but there's a huge need for UX. There's a huge need for developers. There's a huge need for data analysts because of so much stuff that we're doing in tech and on the web. Think about how much has converted to online after the COVID pandemic. So much more is online than there was before. So you need more people in tech because we're doing more on tech. So there's more positions available in tech. So even though there's a lot of people coming out of online schools going into these things, there is a need for them. So definitely, definitely keep this in mind, that there is a need. I'm not going to lie to you. There is competition. The competition, depending on your area, can be really fierce. But if you are committed to your career change, if you're really putting in the hard work and effort, you will get a job. But I mostly find people that don't get a job, they're not 100% committed to their career change. And networking is a strong, strong part of that. So I don't want to get all, I see so many comments and questions and I want to answer all of them, but I'm very mindful of our time and I want to make sure that we stay on time. And I'll try to answer some of these questions as well at the end. But I just wanted to kind of reassure you guys because I know this is a major concern for a lot of people. So going back to networking, there's something called the hidden job market. So before jobs are posted online, there's often HR, recruitment, even people within the hiring team that ask current employees, we're going to be hiring for this role. Do you know someone that could be a possible good fit? Already, I can use CareerFoundry as an example. We were hiring for someone on one of our teams and they let us know, hey, we're going to be hiring. please let your networks know. And if you have someone in particular that you know of that you think will be a good fit, please let us know, because we would like to look at their application more in depth and interview them. They told us this before they put the job advert out there. CareerFoundry is very open-minded, so we of course will put the advert up. We did put the advert up for the role, but they asked internally first if we also knew of people. There are some companies who will just ask internally for recommendations, and they won't even put a job advert out there. So a lot of companies are filling roles just by word of mouth. So that's why it's so important to network, because I know sometimes people will tell me, well, I'm looking and there's no UX roles in my area. So how am I going to get a job? And they don't understand there actually are opportunities, there are roles available, but they're just being hired by word of mouth, because the people that are networking are getting those jobs, and they're getting those jobs before a job advert even goes online. So, and because this happens, there's a lot of recruitment and HR people that don't even feel the need to put job adverts out there, because they're already getting so many applications from internal referrals. So, why does this happen? As I mentioned a little bit, it saves on cost and time associated with hiring, because recruiters have to look, which job boards are we going to pay for to advertise this job opening? And then they're having, because if they put it out into the world, they could then have 200, 300, 500 applications they then have to sort through, which takes a lot of time. They also, that's why hiring internally, they also will hire internally. So sometimes people want to change departments. So with them putting out this information, they find out someone in one department wants to switch to another department. So then that new data analyst role is getting filled by someone who used to work in marketing, for example. Another thing is, like I was just mentioning, the employee referral program to find external candidates. And this is where me, for example, saying, hey, we need someone. And maybe I tell my sister, who then tells her best friend, oh, Susan's company is hiring. Why don't you send her your application? And then I recommend my sister's best friend, and she gets interviewed before anyone else does. And they find they like her and they hire her, all before, and even some of these, like I mentioned before, all before a job advert even goes online. So if you're not networking, you're missing opportunities, just because you don't even know that there are possibilities and roles available at these specific companies. So it's really, 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 really important to do that. I'm just going to look at the chat to see if there's anything pressing in regards to this. Are companies or HR interested to connect with junior levels? We'll talk about this more when we get to LinkedIn, but they will not post on job boards for junior levels, because they have to pay to list roles on job boards. So that's why often it's better to get a junior level role by networking, just because there's enough juniors out there that they don't feel the need to pay to fill those roles. They will pay to be listed on job boards for those harder to fill roles. So I'm really big about networking smarter, not harder. So networking doesn't have to take a lot of time and effort. I don't want you to, and I know some of you you cannot do the program full time. You cannot commit full time to your career change because you're working. Sometimes you're a single parent. Sometimes you're taking care of an elderly family member. We have lives, we have things going on. So I'm really big about making sure that you try to maximize what you can do in a small amount of time. So with this, I want to jump into some options, because we all are different and we all have different characteristics. So I find attending events, these are usually really good for people that are extroverted. So people who love meeting new people who love chatting, love going out. This is some kind of typical events that you see that you can network at are industry conferences. So sometimes you'll have conferences focused on tech topics, special development topics, special marketing, data topics. So you can always look for industry conferences. I know sometimes there is a price barrier, but more and more, some of these conferences are becoming extremely affordable. And even then, some are free. And they're not always in person. They often can be online as well. So don't completely roll them out just because you think that price or location can be an issue. You also have topic-based meets. So it's maybe a small organization that puts together a meet, or sometimes it's just an average person that is just really interested in tech and wants to meet up with other people interested in tech as well. And you can find some of those in your area. Depending on where you live, like if you live in a big city like New York City, you can probably find a lot of these. If you live in the middle of small town Kansas, maybe you won't have a lot of these in person, but there still are some online that you can attend where you can meet people and learn from as well. There's also workshops, again, in person and online. And one of my favorite things I think is really great is hackathons, because you're not just attending an event and talking to people and trying to figure out topics to talk about. You're actually working together on a project. So at the end, you even have something that you can add to your portfolio, for example, and brag about. So a way to find some of these events going on, either in person or online, two of my favorites is Eventbrite and Meetup. So I just want to show you guys kind of what that looks like so you have an idea. And so you can see here, I'm going to share my screen. And then this here, the first one I'm showing is New York. This is like all the things in New York right now, but you can organize it by day. So let's say we want something tomorrow, or you can even pick this weekend, but we'll just pick tomorrow. You can even put price, you can put free, and then even here you have category. So if you're really looking, you can do this for fun as well, but in our case, we're looking to be able to for like growing ourselves and growing business. Like you can look at business, or if you're trying to get it into a specific industry, like maybe you want to work for the health industry, so then you can also check out the health section as well. You can look for community to meet different people from different sections, and you can even pick other just to check and see. But in this case, let's just pick business and see what's here. And we already see here, tomorrow, there is a career club and a virtual job fair. And it's free. Virtual event, 11 a.m. You can scroll down. Not everything will apply to you, but you can see what kinds of things here. Remote, virtual job fair. So grin, something else. This is just to give you an idea, but you can, as I said, you can change the category. So if you're interested in something like going into health, you can see what kind of health things there are. And if there's something that you're interested in learning more about because you want to focus on that. So just an idea, this is Eventbrite. And as you see, you can do it by language, you can do it by format, because even here you have conferences. So if you want a conference within health, you can look for that. Or sometimes you can even just take off the category and have conference and see what all different kinds of conferences. So I know this is like going into detail, but I just wanted to show you there are filters that you can go through to really find something that's a good fit for you far as events. Another one that is really great that I mentioned before is Meetup. Meetup is usually more focused. I tend to think it's a bit more casual, where people will meet up for dinner or for a drink or have like kind of just a chill workshop. So similar to Eventbrite, you have where you can find the day and even the type, if you want online or in person. Because I am aware, for example, I have a lot of people that tell me, I don't have a car, so I cannot go to an in-person event, or I have to do childcare, so I can't leave my house. So just be aware, just because maybe you can't go in person, that doesn't eliminate you from attending events. You can do online events as well. But let's just say we want an in-person event tomorrow in New York. And similar to Eventbrite, you can pick here what you're looking for. So let's say technology. That's very specific in tech, but they're here. They're having DevOps and drinks, and they're going to focus on Kubernetes. So here you go. If you're interested in learning more about DevOps, you can meet up with their event tomorrow well, it says 12 a.m. my time, but that's Central European time. So just ignore that, the actual time. This is just to give you an idea of different things that are available. Here, it's a meet and greet. Unreal NYC is the group, but they're tech related. So then this is something else that you can go to, and you can even see how many attendees are already registered to attend. Starting and building a career in UX, Hack Manhattan Open House. So just look through. I do say sometimes I feel like things are not that interesting that can be put on Eventbrite and Meetup that might not be worth your time. So that's why I say, of course, look through, see if it really aligns with what you want to do, because the goal of when you network is you want to go to events where you can connect with other smart, like people that are going to help you get to where you want to go. And if you don't think those people are going to be at those events, don't go. The idea is not to go to an event just to check a box and say you went to an event. Going to this event, the purpose is to meet people that you can connect with that can really share information and help you get into what you want to get into. So going back to our slides, this is just as we went over a little bit here. Are there hackathons for marketing? Yes, hackathons are not only for a certain industry. A hackathon, usually you're creating a product, so they need someone from every single different sector. They need people to think about how to design the website and the app. So they need UX and UI designers. They need people for marketing because it's a product. So they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we get this out to people? How do we get this out to the public? They need people in data because they need to say, all right, like even as looking at initial things, we know this many people live in this area. How many people would be interested in this possible app? So can we have someone in data help us look at the numbers? So, and of course, developers to make these things. So hackathons are for pretty much everyone in tech. So definitely look. There will be details on each hackathon's websites, but by all means, it is for everyone. Next thing, also, so joining communities. Communities are great because you start to form strong relationships within a community. You form professional relationships, but even you can form close friendships with people within these communities. So ways to do this is even maybe like a lot of us older generation have Facebook. So you can look on Facebook groups to see if there are any tech related groups that you want to join and that you can join the conversations and discussions within those groups. You can join forums, especially if you are a developer. I know Stack Overflow is a huge forum where people like to contribute to ideas, but it is even getting popular for people in data as well. Professional organizations, for example. I know when it comes to marketing, because I used to work in marketing, we have the American Marketing Association. So that's a professional organization that you can join to meet people and even people within your area, because there tends to be with professional organizations, there tends to be local chapters as well. Mentorship sites. So I have just a screenshot here of ADP List. ADP List is great. There's multiple mentorship sites out there, but I love ADP List because you can sign up for a mentor for 100% for free. You do not have to pay anything. And they focus mainly on people within tech, so within design, within marketing, within web development, And they also have data science starting now. So not exactly yet data analysis, but data science that they have. So highly recommend this because you can never have too many mentors. We're really great at CareerFoundry because when you sign up for our programs, we assign you a tutor to help with learning the actual trade that you want to go into. But then you have a mentor that you can talk about on how to get into the field. But even then, after Career Foundry, and even during Career Foundry, it never hurts to connect with more mentors because this is a part of networking and building your network to learn more about career opportunities out there. Keep in mind, these are all ways to meet people, to build relationships with them, because you're not just meeting them once and saying, nice to meet you. Um, you really want to stay in touch with them. And we'll also go back to how to stay in touch with them a little bit further along. Yes, exactly. If you've been trying hard to find a mentor, go to adplist.org and you will be able to sign up for a mentor for free. Another thing is utilizing social media. I would say I would not recommend that you use something like Facebook. You can use Facebook groups to meet people, but make sure that you keep your Facebook privacy settings on, because if you're posting things about your family or personal information, you don't want to share that with the mass groups. But when you're using social to really get yourself out there as a professional, a lot of people mainly use LinkedIn and Twitter. There's a lot of prominent tech people on Twitter. So it's always great to have a Twitter account for that purpose. But I always say, if you're not someone into social media, don't create a Twitter just for the sake of creating Twitter. You do what works for you. If you're into social, by all means, start following tech people on Twitter. If not, at minimum, everyone needs to have a LinkedIn account. I have an aunt that's very high up in a company. And she told me, I don't hire anyone that doesn't have a LinkedIn account because I just find it extremely fishy. So there are a lot of people who think like her. I've talked to recruiters who have told me the same exact thing. If they can't find you on LinkedIn, they find it fishy. They're not sure what's up. You don't seem professional because you're not on a professional platform. So it is imperative and extremely important that you have a LinkedIn account, and and of course, keep it up to date, especially if you're job hunting. If it's not up to date, then you're not showing your value. So that's my spiel on social. What you can do with social is that you can follow and connect with industry professionals. But not only that, you can, on LinkedIn, for example, you can follow relevant topics to you so that you get news on those relevant topics. Another part of social that I will show you in just a moment when I pull up and share my LinkedIn is that you can share industry related information, because this is putting yourself out there as someone in this industry. So if you're trying to break into tech, posting things that you're learning about, posting your accomplishments is a great way to get noticed. To get noticed by recruiters, to get noticed by hiring managers. So don't just use it to stalk and learn more about the industry or even connect with people. Put yourself out there as well. And then engaging in content shared by others. So maybe there's tons of thought leaders, whether it be on Twitter or on LinkedIn, that are really talking about new trends in tech. We will read it. Typically, I feel like most people will read things. Maybe you'll even go as far as to like it. But I want to encourage you to even go that one step further and comment on it. At minimum, you can even just say, thanks for sharing. I never thought about it like this, or this is an interesting perspective. But it's really great if you can even provide additional valuable thought to this conversation, because again, you're making yourself noticeable for hiring managers out there on LinkedIn. So as a part of this, I want to just kind of give you a nice little tutorial on LinkedIn. When you're on LinkedIn, As I mentioned, you can search by topics. So I will scroll down here. You can follow hashtags. So here I'm following, because again, I'm a career specialist. So I'm following career advice, career change, France, because I used to live in France, Europe, education. These are things I'm following because I want to stay up to date on those information. You can pick whatever you want to follow up on, but if you click on it, it will then give me all the information of people who have used this hashtag of career advice. And then now I'm scrolling down, career advice, it shows I'm following. And now everyone that's used this hashtag, I can read what they're talking about. You can do the same by putting UX design or data analysis and staying up to date with what people are talking about in that field. Going back over. So that's about following topics on LinkedIn. And even as I mentioned before, when you're following a topic, it's not just even reading something and liking it. Go ahead and comment as well. Engage with people that you see. Be careful. I feel like I need to say this because sometimes people are really open. I encourage you to please exercise caution when you do this. LinkedIn is not Facebook. Do not use it like Facebook. So if you see something political, ignore it. You don't want to get into things like religion, politics, anything that's maybe a sensitive topic. So really only engage in things that are industry related, because this is, you don't want to accidentally limit your opportunities because of something that you say that someone maybe doesn't agree with. With that said, if you think, if they don't agree with this, I don't care. By all means, you can do that. Just be aware that you could limit your opportunities if you talk about sensitive subjects on LinkedIn. So just really try to think about, this is professional, and something like your Instagram or your Facebook is more for personal stuff. If you're unsure and you're a student at CareerFoundry, you can ask your career specialist, like where the line is. And if you do not yet, if you're not yet enrolled in CareerFoundry, you can also check out a mentor on ADP list to help with that. When it comes to people, I wanted to show, because a lot of people ask me, well, how do I grow my network? So one of the things I always recommend to CareerFoundry students, or graduates, I should say, people who graduate, is go to the CareerFoundry page. So in the search bar, you go to CareerFoundry, you click here, you click CareerFoundry. And then when you scroll down, you see a section that says alumni. You click alumni, and you can even put in where you live. So I used New York as an example before, so maybe now I will just use Berlin as my example of where I'm located. So Berlin, there is 1,300 alumni in Berlin. Let's say that I am a designer. So I tell people, be careful, because within the design realm, sometimes there's UX design, sometimes there's UX UI, sometimes people call themselves product design. So that you don't limit yourself, use general keywords. So I usually will just say something like designer as a key term. So whoever is located in Berlin, is an alumni of CareerFoundry, and has designer in their profile, is going to show up when we hit enter. So I've hit enter now, and we've started this search, and we can scroll down. And so then you start seeing people pop up. So this is a product designer. This is a UX designer. This is a UX UI designer. Some maybe will be a second connection to you. I always say it's nice to start with those first, because when it's a second degree connection, it means you have someone in common. So it's less weird, because when it's the third degree connection, it really is like a true stranger. But make sure that these people are not like you and they're also still searching for a job. So maybe click on that person's profile, if my thing will work. There it is, finally. If I scroll down, because she has this as her header, and here we see from February 2022, she's been working at independent desk as a UX designer, UX researcher. So you could reach out to her. Obviously, if she was job hunting like you are, you can be buddies and like for moral support, but they're not going to really have so much advice for you on how to land a job or let you know if their company is hiring as well. So what you could easily do is connect with this person. Please do not just hit connect. If random people connect with me, I hate this because I don't know who you are. I don't know your background. I don't know why you're connecting with me. So when you hit connect, always make sure to add a note and say, "Hi, Tina. I see you're a fellow CF alumni. I would love to connect and learn more about your career path into design." And then you can just sign your name. And then you hit send. And then this way they see the connection. And you see, I already have typos because I'm doing too quick. But here, by sending a note, they already see how you're connected, and they're not wondering, why is this random person trying to connect with me? Oh, it's a fellow CF and alum. Yeah, I'd love to connect. And then this way, the next step would then, once they connect with you, you can follow up and send them a message, because someone was asking earlier about LinkedIn is expensive. How do I use it? You cannot send people messages if you don't have LinkedIn Premium. But what you can do is send connection request. So tell them how you're related to them if it's a CF alum. If it's not, tell them why you want to connect with them. And then once they connect with you, then you can send them messages, and it's free. So the next step would then be, once she connects with me, I would thank her for her connection. Then I would say, as I mentioned, I would love to learn more about how you got into design and like any advice you have about the transition from going from CareerFoundry into the professional world of design. Do you have time for a 20-minute virtual chat? Yeah, something like this, for example. So this is a way that you can connect with people on LinkedIn. Like I said, it's always good. I just recommend connecting with alumni because you already have that connection in common. But if you went to university at another university, you can always look to see if there's any designers from your previous that work in the field you want to go to from your previous university. You can connect with people from your old job. But usually I say it's great to start with other alumni just because of the fact that they understand exactly what you're going through and how you feel. So I really think it's always great when you join CareerFoundry as a student, because not only do we provide a lot of support while you're a student, we have a very, very strong alumni network. So this is that. And then I'm going to go back over here with my slides. Twitter, I won't show you. I have a Twitter. I'm not really active on it, but that's why I said you don't have to get a Twitter just because of the fact that it's something everyone does. So do what feels right for you. Do what works for you. Another thing to meet people is by volunteering. So volunteering is a great way to make connections. So, and it's a 2-for-1 deal. You make connections, and also you show your work, you show your skills and what you can do. So I've had people do volunteer projects, and then they were hired by those companies later because the companies were impressed by what they could do. So you can do that. Also, it's a good way to meet people that can put you in touch with other people, because maybe that company you volunteer for, they don't have the budget to hire you, but they're impressed by your work and they're going to recommend you to a friend or to an ex-colleague who is hiring for a developer, a designer, a data analyst, for example. So One of the things here's a screenshot that I have of TechFleet, and TechFleet is an organization that CareerFoundry actually partners with to for volunteer opportunities. At the moment, it's mainly focused on developers and designers, but they are asking for more and more different types of volunteers, and we are developing the partnership more and more with them. But this is just one example. But you don't need to even rely just on this. You can search online for ways to volunteer. There's tons of volunteer websites, and there's tons of nonprofit organizations that need people, but they just don't have the money to hire them. So they love if someone comes and volunteers their help. I always just say pitch yourself. There might not be a set role listed online for a volunteer, but you can pitch yourself to your favorite NGO. So, for example, there are all kinds of associations with whether it comes to environmental action, or that comes to animals, or that it comes to helping people that are suffering from homelessness. So if you find an organization that you already really like and follow on social media, maybe you would love to support them, but you cannot do it monetarily with money. You can donate time, and say, "Hey, I can help you redesign your website," or, "Hey, I can, like, put all your data that you've been collecting together, and we can look to see where most of your donations are coming from," or, "Hey, I can actually help you with a marketing campaign." So don't be afraid to pitch yourself and put yourself out there, because honestly, uh, NGOs, nonprofit organizations, are so happy when people volunteer because they need the help and they just don't have the money to get it. Also, you can look for local organizations that need your skills, and even organizations who don't know your skills. So in the US, we have something, for example, very well established, Habitat for Humanity. I know someone who was doing Habitat for Humanity on the weekends, and they happened to meet someone that put them in touch with people in tech, and they were able to get a job. Um, Even maybe your local Habitat for Humanity, maybe they need help with even their web page or their marketing. But even then, if you don't even use your actual skills, sometimes you just meet people by hands-on volunteering that can put you in touch with people within the field you want to go into. The goal as well, when you network, you're building your own network, but that then enables you to tap into their network. So it's an even a bigger extension. You can serve as a representative for an industry related organization. So, one that I mentioned previously, because I worked in marketing, is the American Marketing Association. I used to live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they were always asking for volunteers to serve on the board or serve as the secretary. So, this is another way that you can volunteer within the industry and meet additional people within the industry, making those connections. They see the quality of your work as you're volunteering, and put you in, because they see how hard of a worker you are, how dedicated you are, or how talented you are. They can then put you in touch, even if they don't have something that they know of, like in their own company, they can put you in touch with people that are looking to fill those roles. People naturally want to help other people. If they like you, they naturally want to help you. So, it's not even something that you have to ask. If you show up and show yourself, your true character, who you are as a person, and what you can do, um, they're even if they can't get you into their company, they're going to want to help you try to find something, and they will go out of their way to help you. That's why it's so important to keep networking, and networking with many people as you can to get many opportunities. So I know I'm talking super fast, but it's just because it's tons of information. I did want to follow up before I ask you formally this question, because I know we also mentioned about, you meet these people, great, then how do you follow up with them? So let me go back to share my screen. I know Orkhan. He's my colleague at CareerFoundry. But let's pretend he's not, and I haven't talked to him in a while. We're connected, but I haven't talked to him in a while. I could easily like this and then comment and say, Orkhan, wonderful news. I'm so great. Like, I'm so happy to hear about your promotion. I'm sure like you deserve it. We need or we should catch up soon or something. Because then you're reminding that person that you connected with previously at a networking in-person event or through an organization that you exist. And that's another way to keep up with them. Other times, you can write to them just a simple message. I'll later, of course, tell Orkhan, who I love and is an amazing colleague, that he does, in fact, deserve it. And he's amazing. Let me show you, because there's no shame in my game. I'll show you all my business. This is someone that I did my master's program with. And look, hey, Susan, how are you doing? It's been a long time. Here she is reaching out to me saying, hey, we haven't talked since our master's program. How is it going? You can easily send a message just like this to someone that you've met previously at some kind of event or did a workshop with or did volunteering with. Really going into like all my business, but to just show you as an example as a part of networking. Hi, Susan. Ashley Sigmund, who is a colleague also with me at CareerFoundry, was mentioning your work during a meeting yesterday. I'm creating a new concept in digital health on ADHD in women and would love to be in touch. So we met through a mutual connection. So you really can network in all different kinds of ways. This is just kind of showing you an example of how you can keep up with people and how you can network on your own. I do this all the time. If I look through here, sometimes you're reminded of people you haven't talked to in a while because you see something that comes up. But also you can just occasionally spend a day where you sit down and say, oh, I should probably do my rounds and catch up with all of these people that I met a few weeks ago at these networking events. So let me jump back over, go back to my slides. Which form of networking will you try? And the reason why I ask this is because of the fact that, well, I want you all to network. But as you see, I've showed you lots of different ways to network. I personally, to give you an idea, I'm a career specialist. This is my day job. This is what I would even consider myself an expert in, but I hate in-person events. I'm a natural introvert. It's not my thing. I feel awkward. So I do a lot of one-on-ones and I do a lot of connecting through LinkedIn or things like hackathons. So you don't need to do uh, all of these things. Do what feels true to you. Do what feels, of course, it never feels natural in the beginning. But if it is something really out of character for you and you don't feel comfortable doing it, try another way. So definitely, look at some of these methods, and yeah, see. I see that people are saying, yeah, continue with LinkedIn. Volunteering is good, but it might be hard to find IT companies doing volunteering. No, not necessarily. There's tons of startups who have no money because they're new startups and they're dying for volunteers. I have had a few students come out of CareerFoundry that started volunteering with a startup, and then the startup got funding, and their volunteer work turned into a full-time job. Exactly, volunteering. That's a great way because it's exactly that. It can be weird to network, but while you're doing something with someone, it's easier just to get to know them while you're working on a project. That's why I say hackathons and volunteering are really good for people who are more introverted, just because it's a bit an easier way to jump into it. Extrovert, exactly. So events are my way to go. Perfect. And so I always say, you can always try a combination of things, but you should at least be doing one or two of these. With this, I will shut up and answer your questions because I did want to leave more time for questions. And obviously, I think we are running over time, but Will, you can squeeze in some questions we can go over if we need to, just by a few minutes, because I know that people might have some really important things.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, firstly, thank you, Susan, for presenting this evening. I think it was fantastic. I also learned some tips on LinkedIn too, which I'm going to be testing out, following those hashtags. That's a really good tip. And also checking out where the Career Foundry alumni are based. I think that I didn't even know that before. So Susan, thanks for revealing that.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions, and actually I've got a couple of questions from my side first. And firstly, about your kind of role as a senior career specialist at Career Foundry. I was just wondering if you could elaborate slightly on how you support Career Foundry students in the role that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I work at Career Foundry because I love Career Foundry, because we do such a good job with supporting students. They really are a great place to change your career, because they're not just teaching you the information, they really support you. So for example, as a career specialist, what I do a lot is we have a job preparation course where we teach you, because I think it's a process. A lot of us don't know how to talk about ourselves because we feel really insecure. A lot of us have imposter syndrome. So we work together. So your assigned career specialist and you, because every student at Career Foundry is assigned a career specialist. So you will work with your career specialist to overcome things like imposter syndrome. You learn about how to talk about yourself, not just for interviews, but for when you go to networking events. We teach you some of your best qualities to mention. A lot of people don't even realize the skills that they have are skills. They think it's something natural that everyone can do. And once they start talking to their career specialist, and their career specialist says, wait a minute, do you know communicating with diverse amounts of people is actually really a skill? I was talking to a woman the other day that is a bartender. She works in a bar, and was talking about, yeah, she has to work with all different types of people. And I said, you know, that's a skill. And she goes, everyone can talk to people. And I said, no, they cannot. And I said, even then, you're talking to all different types of people, where she was actually bartending. So I said, this is a really great skill, and you should be focusing on the fact that you've been exposed to so many different cultures, so many different age groups and different types of people. And I said, this is actually something that is really great for the career you want to go into. So sometimes you don't even realize your skills. So as a career specialist, we help you determine your skills. We teach you how to talk about it. We teach you how to pitch yourself. And then we also give you tips similar to this about how to network, how to apply best for jobs. We help you, walk you through all the standard processes on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, how to write your resume in a way that works. Everyone thinks they know how to write I would say, like, everyone knows how to write like a basic resume, but really how you do a resume in tech is very special. And so your career specialist will give all of you these tips on how exactly to do it to where you gain the attention of recruiters. So I could keep going on and on, William, but I am conscious of time. But we really do provide a lot of support. And I would say the thing is, we don't stop. We tell you the official job search period is about 6 months. To expect that time frame, most people find it between 4 to 6 months, their job, depending on where you live and how dedicated you are. But even then, if you need it longer, it's very rare. Or sometimes people have like a medical emergency where they have to take a break from job hunting or whatever, life gets in the way. As a Career Foundry alumni, you can always come back, and your career specialist will continue to support you until you find a job.
I think you also raised a really important point, Susan. I'm aware of the audience that we've got watching this evening, and a lot of people are thinking about making that leap into tech, and thinking that when you're making that change, and if you've been in a previous career or profession before, that you're going to have to, learn a lot of new skills, and you're going to be starting from scratch. Whereas I think what you've just kind of like talked about as transferable skills, which everybody has, and some people have very unique transferable skills. And some people don't realize that when you're moving into tech, a lot of these skills from your previous academic career or profession, you will bring forward into this new career in tech. So I think that's a super important point. There are questions coming through on LinkedIn and also Big Market. I think Daniela I'm sorry if I pronounced anyone's names wrong. Daniela has also raised a really important point. The topics and information that you've provided this evening, Susan, is this also applicable for older career changes? For instance, if you're over 40?
Yes, I have helped people over 50 with job changes, with their career change, complete career changes. Even then, I know a lot of people are very worried about being an older career changer. They're worried about maybe ageism going into tech. Honestly, this is really not a problem. The main thing with tech is they want to know, can you do this job? Can you do this job well? And a lot of times they even appreciate older career changers because of the fact of, if you are someone that is young, that maybe you are fresh out of this program, you don't even have, how do you say, professional knowledge. You don't know how to even conduct yourself in a professional setting. So they are aware when they take younger people, not only are they having to like teach them on the job, the new tech job, they're having to teach them how to be a professional, how to work in a professional way. Whereas older job changers are great because you've already worked in professional settings. You already know how to conduct yourself in a career space. So I find a lot of companies actually appreciate that you already have this knowledge.
Great advice. And I think that harks everything that we do at CareerFoundry. We don't subscribe to the view that career change is just for young people. We also support older students, and we have had lots of successful older students go on to become CareerFoundry alumni. So that's also fantastic to see. Do check out the CareerFoundry blog or CareerFoundry website. We've also got some success stories featured in the magazine where you can read about those career changes. I'm going to dip into some other questions. I know that you mentioned before that some junior positions are not always posted. Autumn is asking, should we apply for associate and mid-entry roles that are posted, since junior ones are usually not posted?
So yes, so you can do this, but I usually encourage networking over this. It is a method people use. It definitely depends on you. You can apply to more mid-level roles so that when they do have, and if they do see you have enough transferable skills, sometimes they'll say, oh, she's not exactly right for this mid-level role, but let's keep her in mind because they already know in 3 months maybe they want to hire someone as a junior. But I always say networking usually is better because you just have no idea, unless it's a company that it's like a dream company, or that somewhere you really want to work. I usually say stick to networking first. But of course, if it is a company you like, go ahead and apply for that mid-level role that's open so that they have your application in their applicant tracking system, which is their big database where they keep all of the applications.
Do you find in your experiences, and that when jobs are posted, that companies write down everything that they'd like to see, but actually, they write down the ideal candidate, but it's almost like kind of mythology that person doesn't really exist?
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yes. So it's like they're looking for this very special unicorn, and it's not even a unicorn. They want a rainbow unicorn sparkling with glitter. And you're like, whoa, I don't have like any of those skills. So I always tell job seekers, if you have 50% of what they're asking for in the job advert, apply. Because a lot of times they'll get real crazy with this list. And sometimes I find hiring managers will say something like, for a designer, they'll say, it'd be great one day if we could integrate animations in our designs. Wouldn't that be great? They have no plans, no future plans to do this. They just think one day, if they have time, maybe possibly doing animations. And so they write that on the job advert. And so there's been people I know that have had animation skills. They were hired and they never once used those animation skills in the 5 years they were in that job. So they will write crazy things just because they think maybe one day it would be nice to have. Sometimes they piggyback off of other job adverts they see and they say, this company is asking for all of these things. Maybe we should ask for it too, even if they don't even need that. So at the end of the day, though, that's not what decides who they hire. What decides at the end of the day is often if you have the basic skills that they need you to have and if you're a good fit for the company. And a good fit meaning you're a good cultural fit, you have a personality that works, that could be symbiotic with who they have and what they're working with. So I have seen people applied for jobs, thought they had no chance at all, and ended up getting the job. And that happens really quite commonly. So if there's 10 bullet points and you only have 5 out of the 10, still apply for that role.
That's great advice. I know sometimes in the past I've clicked on like an internship or a super junior role, and I've seen the list of things that they want, and I'm like, wow, if I have all those skills, I'll be running the company.
Yeah,
you're like, junior role.
Yeah. And then this is also something I say sometimes often when people come out of CareerFoundry, they're typing in junior analyst, like junior designer, junior developer, but oftentimes companies, they don't even label that it's a junior role, and you have to read the job advert to get a sense of things. So also that's another thing I say, the job advert really is just a really rough guide. So don't limit yourself by only applying to junior, like what actually says junior, and really stick to this belief. If you have 50% of the qualifications, apply.
That's great advice. And also, like, if you are thinking about making the career change into tech, don't be intimidated by all of these points in the job applications. Also, if you're doing a CareerFoundry program, we are going to teach you up, and we've got the full support with your mentor, your tutor, and career specialist. So don't worry too much about all the nitty gritty that you see in those job applications. I'm going to jump into LinkedIn for a couple of questions. Charlotte is asking, what are some common mistakes to avoid when networking in the tech industry?
Common mistakes to avoid would be definitely doing your CV how you've always done it. This is the most common thing I see that sometimes I have a lot of pushback from people who are saying, everyone's always complimented me on my CV resume. It's worked for me before. And now you're telling me to make all these changes. Why am I going to change it when it's always worked for me? And then I'm having to constantly explain it worked for you in your previous industry, but tech is a different industry. The advice that I'm giving you is to save time because I talk regularly with tech recruiters, so I know what they're looking for when it comes to your resume. I'm telling you to do it like this so you get a better response rate on your applications. That's one of the major things I see for people like going into tech. So you may have been an expert at doing certain things in your field before, but be aware, be humble, know that you are going into a new industry. So some things will be different. And the things that your career specialist at CareerFoundry is telling you is they really do want to help you. And so they are telling you these things for your own good. But we are not necessarily, we're not God. So I always tell people too, I welcome to be challenged. So if you think my advice is not valuable, go ask someone in tech. Network, share your resume with that person that you're networking with and say, hey, can you give me some thoughts and advice on on my resume? I always tell people as a way, once you start networking and you build a professional relationship with someone, ask them, don't just rely on me, ask them, what do you think of my portfolio? What do you think of my resume? And then you'll be able to get a lot of insights from that as well.
I think if we read between the lines of everything you've been presenting this evening, Susan, I think one of the things which is coming clear is that, self-promoting, but also being active, being proactive. And it's something that I see often during CareerFoundry events, also with previous students who have gone on to get jobs, is that if you self-promote and if you're active and you engage and you kind of live the career change, you're eventually gonna win. So it's great advice to be proactive. If you're quiet about your career change and you don't kind of network and use the tips that Susan has been saying this evening, and career specialist at CareerFoundry, it's not that it's not possible, it's just that you can have a little bit of a harder time. So definitely
and a
be
longer
proactive.
time.
And a longer time. So the more proactive and the more tips that you kind of onboard, the better. I'm going to take a couple more questions, but I am mindful of the time. We are running a little bit over. Ashley's got a great question. How can one strike a balance between self-promotion and building genuine relationships through networking?
Yeah, so curiosity is my main thing. If you genuinely are curious in that person, then you typically will develop a good relationship with them. So that's why I always tell people, when you first start networking, just don't randomly reach out to people. Like I showed you before on LinkedIn when we looked at CareerFoundry alumni. If that person's profile doesn't really speak to you, look for someone else's. If you find someone, even then, if you find someone doing something really cool, maybe it's not on LinkedIn, you find someone that is a developer and you come across their portfolio, reach out to them and say, hey, I actually really love your portfolio and I just wanted to let you know, by chance, would you like to have a virtual coffee and chit chat? You'll be surprised about the amount of people that say yes. I will not lie to you. People do sometimes say no, but it's not always like, no one is really in a malicious way. People are busy. Some people are overwhelmed with work, with volunteering, with kids, with pets. So sometimes people don't have time to chit chat. Also, don't take it personal if they don't respond to your LinkedIn message, because sometimes I'm the worst part. I will read someone's message on LinkedIn while I'm cooking dinner, set down my phone, finish cooking dinner, completely forget about it until I'm in the shower, like 1.5 months later. And I'm like, did I ever respond to that person? So it's just, sometimes keep in mind, life gets in the way, right? So try not to always take things personal. Just keep reaching out, keep trying. But you definitely will make meaningful connections when you start by reaching out to people you know. ADP list that I mentioned before, where you can sign up for a mentor. You don't have to stick with one. You can sign up for multiple mentors. So I've had people tell me, yeah, I didn't really hit it off with the first or second one, but actually the third one I met, we really hit it off. We really clicked. So now I meet with them regularly and we have a standing appointment where we meet every Tuesday at 4 p.m. So you might not hit it off with all of them. So just try to keep searching. The ones that you do feel like you're hitting it off with, definitely keep up with them. Even the ones that you feel like you didn't necessarily super click with them, but they were nice people, you can always just send like a nice friendly update message on LinkedIn. Hey, was just thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. Or even I often find an article that makes me think about a person that I connected with. And I say, oh, I read this article. I thought maybe you'd be interested in it too. So I'm sending it over to you.
Awesome, great advice. Susan, thank you so much for presenting this evening. That was a fantastic, informative webinar, and I think it provided a lot of value for everybody who's maybe looking to network, or also career changers thinking about making that change into tech. Also, thank you so much to the audience watching this evening on both LinkedIn, YouTube, and Big Marker. Lots and lots of engagement and some super nice comments. So thank you everybody for writing in. Sorry that we didn't get a chance to answer all of your questions,
I know.
but we do have a series of CareerFoundry events. So do check out the CareerFoundry events page. We have lots of online events. So if you like this event, we've got similar events also upcoming. So do check that out. I will also shamelessly plug a couple of things. Do check out the YouTube, the CareerFoundry YouTube channel. You'll see some familiar faces there, and we've got a video team in the background who are working super hard on producing some great content. And for anyone interested in career change or networking, do also check out the CareerFoundry blog. We've got some fantastic editors in-house who are writing articles daily, which are going on the blog all about tech, career change, and the programs specific that we offer. And last but not least, at the moment, we are offering New Year scholarships for our main career change program. So if you think that's for you and you're thinking about doing a CareerFoundry program, I would highly recommend booking a call with a program advisor. They're super, super friendly. I know them all. And if you've got any questions about the curriculum, jobs in your locality, or specifics about the CareerFoundry programs, do book a call with a program advisor, and also talk to them about the New Year scholarship that we are offering for our main career change programs. So thank you once again to everybody watching, and Susan, thank you so much for presenting again what was another fantastic webinar, and looking forward to seeing you again soon back in Berlin.
Yes, definitely. Bye everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.